Good morning, everyone. Brian here with BMK Retro Gaming. This morning I have for us the review of the IntelliVision original library game, Frogger. Now, it's kind of an interesting concept in a way. I forget the name, but apparently one of the people who worked as one of the developers or such at Konami in Japan, was one day driving down a busy street and noticed a frog trying to cross the street and having some difficulty. So he basically pulls his car safely over to the side of the road and helps the frog across the rest of the street, which would go on to inspire him with the game concept for developing Frogger, which was done over with Konami and in 1981, with Sega doing the publishing in Japan, with Sega Gremlin doing the publishing in America, or the North American market. Pretty much Sega Gremlin got the rights to publish and distribute worldwide. And that was 1981, the arcade cabinet original. Then a bit later on, at Sega Gremlin, they were looking in that process, Sega Gremlin were looking at arcade cabinet original games to develop to make adaptions of. And Frogger came up, but it was regarded as largely a kids, a game that appealed to women and kids, and wasn't thought it would do so well, as they had an earlier similar game which hadn't done quite so well. But one of their marketing executives, Elizabeth Falconer, pushed for it, pointing out that Pac-Man and other similarly themed games which had held a large degree of appeal to women and children had actually done rather well before, and she got the go-ahead, and they went ahead with developing the adaptation for their publishing, and that's how it basically happened, where Sega Gremlin got the pretty much worldwide rights for publishing and distribution, with, I guess, except for the exception of Japan itself directly. Anyway, a bit later on, about 1982, Parker Brothers would get the licensing rights to do, forgive me, allergies, acting a bit, to do the cartridge-based home video game console ports. And I guess for those for home computers where they applied, such as, say, the Atari 8-bit, And so that was developed roughly 1982 and released 1983 is when we got the IntelliVision original library arcade port of Frogger. Which was basically developed, as it says, by Konami, licensed out by them as their development, and published by Parker Brothers. They didn't really have the rights and all to do the ports, which were for home computers, all such as on disc or cassette or other tape drives, stuff like that. I forget, it was Sierra something were the ones who did who got the rights to do most of those. Anyway, it's a pretty simple, easy game. Not quite as successful or well-known, perhaps, as something like, say, Pac-Man or Donkey Kong. But generally speaking, it became really its own thing. I mean, if you were playing video games back in the classic area or up to now, you have likely heard of it and probably played Frogger in one port or version or another. Anyway, I didn't have instructions for this one directly, just a loose cartridge, as we'll see in a moment. So we'll go over a little bit of the information you need to know to play the IntelliVision port of Frogger. For one thing, with the game variations, there are 4. Number one is an easy mode or easier mode, where Frogger can actually safely float off screen. Number two is the same thing, except for at a higher difficulty. You can still float off screen safely. Three is yet again a higher difficulty, but Frogger cannot float off screen safely. And four is pretty much the highest difficulty, where Frogger still cannot float off screen safely. And also there are more enemies who appear, ones who don't generally appear in the easier levels, at least not for a while, such as snakes and otters. All four variations can be played either 1 or 2 player. Then we have scoring, basically, which is where every time Frogger takes a forward jump, you get 10 points. Every time you get a Frogger home to one of their homes, get a frog home, that's 50. Once you get 5 frogs home, which basically completes each level, you earn 1,000 points. To get a pink frog, which represents a female frog, or to get a fly, are both 200 points. And you get 10 points extra for all the time remaining you have. Basically, with each frog or Frogger, you have about 30 seconds from the time you start them on screen to the time you're supposed to have them back into one of their homes before you'll run out of time and lose them that way to timing out. Beating this and all, basically, whatever time left you have remaining earns you an extra 10 points for it. And then, of course, so long as you have 4 or less Froggers remaining, you earn an extra life each time that you earn 20,000 points. And this game is pretty impressive, and it was one of the first games with a huge number of ways to die. Not going to go over them all in a lot of great detail, but basically the game has about 9 different ways for you to kill off a Frogger. That's a lot. As a matter of fact, back when I was still doing the, on Facebook and all, the BMK High Score Challenge, the original version I founded, before I got out of it and it became its modern version, called Beyond Modern Consoles Gaming, I think, as a high score challenge, we'd actually played the Atari VCS 2600, the original library port of, arcade port of Frogger. And yeah, it's a pretty tough game. I believe I only got maybe through screen 2 or screen 3, even on the easier modes, so it can be a bit of one. Anyway, that's pretty much what there is to it. We'll go over it a little more in more detail as we play some. As I mentioned, I have basically just a loose cartridge copy, which we can see here. It says Frogger, tells us it's from Parker Brothers, and also and Sega Enterprises. And says 1982, 1983, because it was basically developed 82, released 83. Well, supposed to have been. And it's pretty nice artwork and all here, and the label and everything's pretty nice. I didn't have to do any fixing. Little bit of mess here from, I guess, a label or something having been removed at some point. And we see Parker Brothers on the back. I'm not aware of this one coming with any keypad overlays or anything, at least not that I know of, but it's a simple enough game, I might not need them. Anyway, I've got my IntelliVision 3 out and ready to go, so I'm going to go ahead and get us get this hooked up with that, and we're going to take a look into the gameplay. Okay, so here we go with gameplay for the IntelliVision Original Library arcade port of Frogger. Basically, you just press whatever button to start. We're going to do level 1 player, level 1. And from here, it's basically just using your joystick, directional disc to move. Got a little jingle starting up, that's kind of nice. Then these are the regular logs. That was supposed to be a fly, I didn't get to it in time. Basically, graphically speaking, all here, it's pretty nice. Nothing too bad to worry about here, I wouldn't say. Although the sounds are a little bit annoying in a way, not too terrible. Time 20 remaining, that's good. And one of the other things I've noticed is a common complaint with this one somewhat is that it can be seen as a bit blocky. What the? Oh, I must have jumped into the water by mistake. The controls with the directional disc are pretty smooth. Occasionally you might make... there, I picked up the female frog right there. That was apparently... Those are actually turtles. And the ones that flash like that are the ones that will dive on you. And, well, they can make for something of a hazard. Have to be careful when you're getting the frogger in the home not to hit any of the sides or anything, because you will kill him by doing so. Oh, ooh. And getting run over is not a good idea either. Again, at least 9 different ways to die in the darn game. Another female frog picked up. And you start with 5 lives, of course, which is good. Another fly, another 200 points. On to level 2. Like I was trying to say earlier, besides the sounds sometimes being regarded as at least a bit annoying, in some ways, though, to me they're okay. I mean, little starting jingle is okay, and the sound effects are generally reasonable. Well, one of the other more common complaints I've heard on this one before is that it, missed. With the way the graphics are done with the IntelliVision, it can appear to be a bit blocky looking. Oh, that hurt. Okay, we'll give it another shot real quick since I have time. Level 1 again. I've never been the very best player at Frogger as it goes, so... can have a bit of a tendency to mess up a lot on this. Female frog for an extra 200 points. And the fly was also another 200 points, so that's pretty good. 44 remaining, I guess it looks like. Only supposed to have 30 seconds on, so I don't know how that happened, but I guess maybe you pick up some extra time sometimes when you make it along a bit faster. Not that it doesn't count down your time the entire time. It's 4 home. One of the interesting things about development of this, which I kind of mentioned when I did the Atari VCS 2600 original library review of the Activision game Freeway, is it's about a chicken crossing the road, or trying to get chickens across the road, and well, basically, according to the developers anyway, they were at least 6,000 miles apart when the 2 games were being developed and weren't aware of the development of the other game, according to Mr. David Crane at Activision. But Activision did take a lot of inspiration from other games. I have no reason not to believe what he said, and there probably was no reason for them to have actually known what was going on with Konami and Sega Gremlin and all with Frogger, but is kind of interesting that they came up with two very, very similar game concepts at one time. That right there, that little, you can see that's a gator in that one. Fly here. Darn, missed. Another thing that could be said to be a minor drawback with this one is that the gators that appear, that are not in the frog homes directly tend to appear as just the head end of a log, which could be said to be a bit of lazy programming in a way, but it could be worse. At least they managed to work in the gators somehow. And cool enough, you can actually jump on their backs so long as you don't hit the head and ride them through and you're fine, so. Oops. The IntelliVision's directional disc controller is actually pretty good with this one. Occasionally you might have a little bit of a slip where you go somewhere you're not trying to. But most of the time you can have pretty decent control of it. So, I mean, it's basically just 4 ways, up, down, left, right. That's not terribly complicated. Perhaps a tiny bit complicated at very worst, but could be a lot worse than it is. Or isn't really. Another fly, another frog home, and we're on to number 3. And extra 1,000 points. That is a snake. Oop, hit the water without even thinking about what I was doing. That's another weird thing here. Your frogger is a frog, so you think the water wouldn't be deadly, but I think the general explanation given for why you can be killed in this game just by jumping into water is because there's other dangers in the water you can't see from up top. Okay, now just for fun, we're going to try the hardest level 5, because then you get 4, because then you get also the otters, which we can see down there in the water there. They will pull you, your frog off of what you're sitting on and into the water if you're not careful about it. Like so. Oh, wait. And on this one, you can't float off screen safely either, so my bad. Dadgummit. Again, this is the one with the highest difficulty level anyway, so shouldn't be any surprise I'm not going to have an easy time with it. But there we can see the otters. Haven't been pulled into the water by one yet, but it's probably just a matter of time. Ah, missed. Thought I could make it. Really, just about any version of Port of Frogger is generally good, so despite what few drawbacks this one might be said to have, I actually happen to like it pretty well, overall. Run, frog. Oop. Well, that didn't work. Darn it. Okay, that's one more home. I wonder if I can finish this one even on level 1. I don't know. Oops. Well, apparently not. For my own silliness. Well, that's 4 or 5. Anyway, I think you guys probably pretty well get the idea with the gameplay by now, so. Okay, so that was Frogger. A 1983 arcade port, IntelliVision original library arcade port from Konami and Parker Brothers. Is it pretty good? Generally speaking, yes. Again, this one is a bit more blocky looking than some, like, say, the Atari VCS 2600 original library arcade port. The sounds are okay, but a little bit annoying and a little bit lazy with having the crocodile heads just on the end of logs and stuff. But than that, it's pretty good and worth checking out. I would advise it if you get a chance or to pick up a copy of this. Go ahead. It's just as fun as the other port of Frogger in my book. If not perfect. Or even close, but still it's good. Anyway, I do have a few recommendations and links for you guys from my preferred YouTubers. Pac-Man QC, History of Arcade Game Documentaries. As usual, he goes over basically pretty much the development of everything that went into the arcade cabinet original, then also the ports, official ports generally, and some other derivatives and stuff. Very informative. Then we have IntelliVision channel, Vizd gameplay videos, Papa Pete, Generational Gamer, High Retro Game Lord, Phil with his channel The No Swear Gamer, Willie with his channel Arcade USA, and Retro Game Clips. So, if I'm not mistaken, that's about 9 of them. I'll also go ahead and leave for you guys a link to the Wikipedia article on this for any who may care to read up on it further. It also does go over a little bit of the IntelliVision original library port, or at least it's mentioned in there, along with the others. Still an interesting read. And although I wouldn't play it or anything because I'd probably get a copyright infringement thing or anything like that, I will go ahead and leave a link for some appropriate musical accompaniment in the form of Buckner and Garcia's Pac-Man Fever's original version of the song on their Pac-Man Fever album it's a Frogger themed song, and it's pretty good, so I'll leave a link to that so you guys can listen to that if you would like. And let's see, that's about it with Frogger. Big shout out to my IntelliVision Invasion Facebook group. Love you guys over there, and hopefully you will get this video uploaded and available before too terribly long. Go ahead and keep your eyes peeled on my feed here on YouTube, as well as on my Facebook and Twitter feeds for what this next Sunday's upcoming homebrew, probrew, or prototype review will be. Again, it's going to be another emulation, more than likely of a prototype game. I have not picked one out yet, so I don't know what it's going to be. So I will go ahead and put that post up as an announcement post once I get picked out and done and ready to go. So just keep an eye out for that, and you'll find out a bit later with that one too. In the meantime, if you enjoy this channel's content, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And please don't hesitate to leave any questions, comments, or suggestions down in the comment section below. You guys take care, have a wonderful Wednesday, and hopefully I will see everyone back here again this coming Sunday.